Thank you so much for joining, you guys, and welcome to TattdTalks Volume VII. Yes, so excited to have you both here. So excited about this topic, actually. I think I hear a lot from both sides. I think there's a problem on both sides of the coin, right? Where I hear a lot from people that are maybe like not as heavy in the tattoo scene, but love it and want one, that they're like, I don't even know how to go about it. I don't even know what to do. You know what I mean? Like, I'm scared to talk to a tattoo artist. They're all so cool. Like, I can't do it, you know? They really don't know how to approach the process. And they don't know the process. And you know what I mean? No Googling in the world will really, give you as much insight as actually talking to someone, honestly. So there's that issue. And then on the tattoo artist side, I definitely hear a lot about all the crazy stuff that they get in the door. From like requests to just like a full like not understanding how everything works, and just ridiculous questions and everything like that. So a lot of what we want to do is educate on the process. I mean, we do a lot of education already actually on just the tattoo styles, right? You know what I mean? Just understanding like what is trash polka? That's kind of a random one. You know what I mean? Like what are all these different styles? What do they mean? What do they look like? What's like realism versus neorealism? If you're really trying to go to an artist and bring an idea to them that is their specialization, that they're best at and that they love to do, right? That's what's ideal. I'm not only with Ted, I want to make connections, but I want to make valuable connections. You know what I mean? I want to make the right connections. I want people to be connected that should have been connected, that are looking for each other, kind of, not just like you're getting a million inquiries and you kind of have to sift through the bad ones and the good ones as an artist. That was a long-winded intro to this topic. So you guys, so excited to talk to you both. So I would love first if you could give an intro on yourselves, where you're calling in from, since we're all virtual these days, and a little bit about how you got into tattooing, how long you've been tattooing, just a quick little tidbit. You want to start? Go for it, Elias.
Sure. So I'm Elias. I go by Mr. Elias. I'm in Miami, Florida, but I'm originally from way up north in New York, kind of in the middle of nowhere. And I was the kid in middle school who was like drawing full sleeves on my friends with Sharpies. But I really didn't think that I was big at the time, and I really didn't find that until kind of later on. And so ever since then, it's just kind of been like kind of a natural progression towards tattooing and the flesh medium. And yeah, I love it.
Amazing. And I've been meaning to get down to Miami, so we'll find each other somehow. Filip, tell us your story. Oh, I think you're muted. Hold on, let me unmute you, love. Or can you unmute yourself, Filip? It's weird.
Just see those little three dots.
I think he's maybe reconnecting.
Okay.
There's always more time. No matter how many times you do this, there's always little like technical difficulties and shit.
I know that's the problem, but it's also so fucking cool that we're like beaming in from all these different places. So
that's true. We're repping the coast, because I'm Brooklyn, he's SF, you're Miami.
We're the fucking triangle. I don't know where
too much trash. You know what I mean?
the thing about styles. I was just gonna say it's so cool. Like, someone does kind of find that like subgenre, because like tattoo the styles, but when an actual client is like, oh fuck, trash polka, like that's exactly what I want, and then they know exactly kind of what rabbit hole to dive into, because it's just like so helpful. Really does.
I also remember the first day I saw a geometric tattoo, and I was just like in awe. I was like, that is so cool. Like, why isn't there more of those things? Like, what? And obviously it blew up and everything. But you know what I mean? Like, it's like, I think you can get more creative about what you want and what you can do with art, the more you become acquainted with the art form itself, which I love.
Totally. And then it's kind of hard because you also have to figure out a way to like educate and kind of present that to your clients and like kind of sell them on this style, because some people like want the tattoo, but they have no preference of what kind of, they just want you to do your thing. And it's like,
which is cool.
so cool. And if you do a lot of different things, that's like, okay, well, fuck, we still have nothing. So like, where do we want to aim towards? And then I
Yeah.
guess the more styles you have to draw from, the more you can.
Let's see. Too many technical difficulties. Um, oh my God. Okay, we have you back.
Philip or me?
No, you, because I feel like you were gone for a second. Let me just flip DMing.
Let's see.
Maybe I'm just like having proper trouble. Like that'd be no good. My computer.
That's so weird.
I know. Isn't it odd?
Whatever. So at some point, it was like someone sent me something that was like invite to join the live chat.
How did you receive that?
It just like popped up on my screen that I got an invite, and then I was able to join on my phone.
Yeah, I've been reprompting him. I think it says accepting and connecting now. So I feel like it might be happening. Because just before you came on, actually, he was having trouble with his internet. And so he like had to change his connection or network or something.
Sorry. We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. No, it's good. I think it's slowly but surely happening.
Always.
It's so funny. Some of these go like perfectly seamlessly, and like some of them are like.
I'm in. Nice. Sorry. Okay.
No worries.
Can you hear me right now?
Yes.
I can hear you.
I love it. It's working. Internet reconnected, Fabian?
My phone. So I don't know. Somehow MacBook doesn't work. I'm not sure what's happening.
This is really good for me to know because I feel like I'm like slowly but surely because the first few things we did, I wasn't asking people what device they're on. So maybe I need to start just telling people to log in their phone. So this is actually a great learning moment for me.
Yeah, yeah. Phone works perfectly. I can hear you,
Good.
and it's all smooth. I tried iPad. I tried the computer. No.
Yeah, I think that is a huge issue. I'll contact Crowdcast. Don't worry about it.
That's fine.
All right. So we left off at the most important part, Filip, is when we learn a bit more about you.
Okay. Well, hi. I'm Filip. I'm originally from Slovakia in the middle of Europe. I've been tattooing for 12 years. I started at university. So I studied design, product design, visual communications, all sort of like fields together. And then I grabbed a machine and I felt like that's the way to go. And then I moved to Prague and I've been, since then I was on the way with the tattoos. Besides that, I do paintings, I do illustrations, and that's pretty much it, I think.
All the mediums. I love it. I have to give a shout out to Filip because he is going to be one of our speakers actually at the Tattd virtual convention on March 6th. Tune in It's going to be great.
Looking forward.
So we got some amazing people here. So since we're talking about sort of like first time, or I guess this is more like towards first time tattooees, right? I would love to hear actually before we get into like 101, like what you need to know. I would love actually just to hear the story of y'all's first tattoo. If you want to go for it, Elias.
Okay. Like my experience was pretty smooth. I mean, I have my tattoo right here.
Nice.
Like 10 years ish. It was easy. It was not that bad. He was very nice. And I have the first tattoo I ever did, which is on myself. don't know if you
Love.
oh, but
Nice.
that was also its whole own experience.
I bet.
Pretty good experiences, thank goodness.
Oh, that's good. Okay, amazing. That's easy. I mean, how'd you find the guy? Did you just walk into a shop or?
It was just a friend who had gotten a really clean script on her ankle, and I was like, all right, cool. Showed up, he had it already, and I was like, okay.
Nice. Well, that's easy. That's chill. Nice. What
That's
about you?
smooth.
Yeah.
I got my first one when I was 16. My cousin did it for me, and it wasn't the best design ever. I mean, we just kind of had communication issues, right? And so he designed something, and I was like, yeah, okay, that'll be cool, right? To have my first one on my calf, why not? But I was cool for 2 years, and then I just cover it up because I wasn't happy with that. It was too dark,
Yeah.
Like the design was, it didn't fit anymore.
Yeah, that happens. That's
Yeah.
fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
There's always a debate of like, do you cover it up or do not cover it up? You know what I mean? Because I've heard some people be like, it's part of your history. And I've heard other people be like, no, if I don't like it, I don't want that on my body. I don't want that on my body.
Yeah, this specific one I did cover up, and the one I did myself, I didn't, and it's still there. It's a rose on my knee. Yeah, it's horrible, but it's a nice memory. That was my first try. Yeah.
That's cool. You don't need to remember your cousin, but that makes sense. Yeah, I hear that. I love it. So I guess let's talk about like the very beginning, because we'll get into do's and don'ts, but the very like beginning stages of how someone approaches getting a tattoo. Like, I know it is different when it comes to if you're going into a shop, if you have a specific, tattoo artist in mind at the shop, if you found a tattoo artist that independently tattoos out of their own studio, like from Instagram or something like that. But what do people need to approach you with, and what do they need to know whenever they're making first contact with you? Flash the shop, I guess.
I'd say that I have like a lot of my people coming from like different art worlds. If I tattoo, and so they want to do.
Interesting.
So yeah, that can be like really helpful. Just them kind of knowing what I'm about, because they're quite out there, so they kind of know what they're into. But then once they kind of know like what I do best, then I like to know kind of what they're trying to express on their skin. Like further than just like, this is what I want. It's like, well, what about like what are you feeling like you want to have portrayed on your skin, and then can go about dig deeper, conceptualize or figure out something that's like never been done before, or really just like unique and cool to see.
Very cool.
I agree. Yeah, it should be unique, first place, right? And what I usually do, I just ask for a few reference photos of my works, what I've done, and they like the best, right? So I have a better idea what they're looking for, because right now we're not like having a personal consultations, right? So I do all my consult over the email, and yeah, so over the photos that works. So I usually ask for the references, for the placement idea, right? And yeah, like some sort of emotion and feeling about the tattoo.
Yeah, absolutely. And how much typically like back and forth is there? Like how much collaboration is there? And like be as blunt as you need. Like how much is it sort of like at some point you're an artist, and then at some point the other person's getting it on their body. You know what I mean? Like where does that sort of like coming together lie for you guys?
Well, I don't know. I mean, sorry.
Go ahead.
How do you want? Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, I feel like some people are like more specific and set on the idea they want to like capture, right? And sometimes it feels like it's too much and too overwhelming for me, like to work with that. So I prefer to have it, easygoing, right? And some people are easygoing, right? They like, okay, just do that. I have this idea. It's up to you. I'll let you, to do your thing, right? And then I ask for some info I need to know, right? But some people I exchange like, I don't know, 60 emails, right? And it's a small tattoo, right? So sometimes it taking like longer than it should, right?
Right. I hear you. I hear you. What about you, Elias? What is your experience then?
It really be like that. Like it just totally depends on how the person feels. And in kind of my opinion, I would love people to just kind of research their artist so much that they know what they really do, and to kind of just know what they're getting into from consistency and seeing their portfolio. But that doesn't always happen. So or they kind of want something similar and they trust your kind of vision. And then sometimes people will just claim designs that you did completely. Like, here, I got this guy actually right next to me. So like this dragon was just kind of then, and she wants it just like that, and it's
I love it.
done. She's good to go, and we both know exactly what we're getting into that day. So
I love it. I love it. Let's talk about what everyone maybe wants to avoid. Let's talk about pricing. I feel like I hear a lot about maybe miscommunications or wrong expectations about pricing, about like, you know, the deposits and how you like pay and tipping and what kind of prices to kind of expect, and all of the above, right? Like I think there needs to be some transparency for the person getting a tattoo there, because I definitely have heard from artists that people come in and they just like are either shocked by prices or they're trying to negotiate or they're not tipping or like weird stuff. So like if we just want to set a precedent on how things should be, I would love your thought.
well, there's quite a discrepancy, probably just between all of our cities. Like there is kind of this weird element of like, it's hard to know because a tattooer in the Midwest is probably not the same rate as a tattooer in New York City, and so I think that's kind of where it gets a little bit lost in translation. But you definitely pay for quality, to an extent, of course, and I think that if you're ever thinking about negotiating the price down from your artist, that you should really be thinking about if you're negotiating like the price of the tattoo and what you want to do, or if you just want them to do it cheaper because you don't want to pay that. So being like, oh, like maybe could we do it a little bit smaller for this price, or being super upfront and being like, this is like the most money that I can spend. Is there anything we can do to work around that? And if they can't, that's totally fine. You can save up for a little. It's going to be on your skin forever. So
that's a really good approach. I really like that, rather than it being sort of all or nothing. It's like, okay, well, what if I get it at a different place and it's half the size? Like, it's still beautiful, still a great design, or whatever, you know, whatever the case may be. That seems like a more fair approach, kind of thing. So that makes sense. Filip, have you had any moments like that?
Yeah, well, I think everything been said already, right? But yeah, depending on the city, definitely. I mean, the rates are different, right? All over US and the world. Yeah, definitely. Like, don't save, money, right? On your tattoo. That might be, even not the best idea, right? To getting a cheap tattoo, or like and just walk in a shop you don't know and you don't know the artist, or yeah. I feel like people should be more maybe exact with the designing and the idea and the placement. And I usually ask people if they send me a circle area with a placement, right? So I can work with it. And then at the place, at the day of the tattoo, we are usually like finalizing on all the details, right? So I usually like say, I don't know, that might be 2 hours or 4 hours, right? And okay, 4 hours is too much, so I'm like, okay, let's go smaller, or let's work with it. So I'm happy with if people are like, if they tell me what they expect, right?
Right. Great. I mean, like this, I feel like this all sounds like just like having really sound communication with whoever you're working with. You know what I mean? A lot of things can be avoided. What are probably the top 3 or 5 or 10 or however many things, what are the top whatever things that people need to know that don't maybe always or maybe typically know when walking into like a very first time? Like I don't know how many like very first time people we all have tattooed, but like what has that experience been like? What were like surprising to them? What do they really need to know? What should we be educating people on?
I feel pretty good talking about that because I did 3 first tattoos this week. So
Oh hey,
that
okay.
doesn't always happen, but I was like, okay, this is pretty good timing.
Interesting, yeah.
I would say that like the pricing is definitely a confusing point. Just to get exposed to the whole world of it and understand it for the first time, kind of with anything. Like
Yeah.
then I would say probably like the design. Like for example, sometimes you'll get like a first timer asking you for the drawing like a month before the appointment. And you're like, oh, like I wish I could do that and have it ready for you, but it's just not gonna happen like that. And maybe it will, and you've communicated that with your person, and they really are about it. But
You usually have it at the time of the appointment, right?
yeah, I try to
That's what I
always
do.
have it like that because also you never know if they're a month out being like, oh, I'm gonna get it on my calf, and then if you design the thing to be like nice and fit to a calf, and then they're like on my shoulder, it might need to be completely changed. And so being able to tailor it to like a spot, a specific part of the body is like one of the best things that you can give a tattooer, knowing exactly where you'll do it. You can get it really customized to flow and fit with the body.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. What were your people surprised about? Was it mostly the pricing this week?
No, I did. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Was the question for me?
I was curious about Philip, like if they were surprised about any part of it, or like if they were surprised about the pain, or like how long it takes to heal, or
All right.
you know,
Yeah.
like that.
I mean, there are some cases, right? Like people are surprised about, I don't know, it takes 2 weeks to heal the tattoo, right? And you shouldn't be, I don't know, like taking a hot tubs with that, or just go swimming or stuff like that, right? I mean, so sometimes it happens, right? They just like I explain, right, the process of the aftercare, and they're like, oh wow, okay, I didn't know that, right? So it's mostly about the sun, and in Sydney there was like more about the swimming, and they were like, oh, so I shouldn't go to the water. I'm like, well, no, don't do that, right? Just get a fresh piece. So yeah, mostly about the aftercare, and yeah, I didn't think about something else. Yeah, let me think. Oh, maybe.
Yeah. What are the most ridiculous things that you've experienced working with very novice, I guess, people trying to get a tattoo? I mean, I'm trying to think of, there's this one tattoo artist that I follow, Nemo Mori, and he did this whole skit on someone coming in and like asking if he could price what the price of a sleeve is. And he was just like, okay, let me just measure like exactly like how big your arm is. And let me just measure that. Great. Like, let me just get my calculator out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was just so.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny.
Something ridiculous like that. You know what I mean? People are just like, well, how much does a tattoo cost? Like, how much does that cost? Like, what does that mean? Like, what is it? Like, where is it? What is it? Like, how many colors are we talking about? Like, you know what I mean? How much detail are we talking about? Like, so much actually goes into it, for example. I mean, I think it's really interesting how much can really be learned, I guess, from like a first time tattooee. Like, for example, like the way things heal. So I have a really beautiful Frida Kahlo piece on my arm. And if you're familiar with Frida Kahlo, she has this like really intense kind of unibrow going on. And I love her art for it because she always depicts it in her art. And it's just so true and real and like, just like gritty and like cool. But whenever my tattoo artist did it, it was like the most. And I was like, whoa. Like, I don't think it needs to be like that. And my tattooist was like, I promise you, this will heal how you want it to look. I promise you that. And it did. You know what I mean? So like, for example, like things like that, like details that seem like maybe to the person getting tattooed, like that is too much, or like, you know what I mean? Like that line looks like this, or like this shading looks like that, or, you know, whatever it is that tattoo artists know what they, you know, really know what they're doing. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's all right, like, type of thing. I think there's a lot of learning that can happen there. So I don't know if you've had any moments like that where, you've kind of had to educate your clientele.
Yeah, I did. It was like, I don't know, maybe I got an email like 2 days after they got a tattoo saying like it's bleeding a bit, or it's like they can find an ink underneath the Saniderm plastic, right? So
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I mean, that's normal, don't freak out, right? It will be fine, you just take it off, clean it, and yeah, so that's what I do usually if they are like concerned about it, or they're not sure. But yeah, that's normal. I think that's what happens, with the first timers especially, right? They don't have idea like how the skin react, right, or what they should like expect, and after that is kind of like too much information about the aftercare, right? So usually like, oh, okay, so do that, right? And you forget like half of it, right? So then they're reaching out again and asking about like,
Of course.
for example, bleeding or ink and that kind of, right?
Yeah. I was surprised at how much what do you call, I forget what you call it, the type of like cells or whatever that get all like gooey, you know what I'm saying? But I was surprised at how much like there was the goo-ness under like really big pieces, how much that happened. I was like, it felt like it was in like a horror flick. I was like, what is?
Yeah.
I'm turning like.
Looks horrifying sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, I can like, I was calm enough, but like I like remember because I think I saw the bit on one of my tattoos, and I got like a much bigger piece, much more intense piece, and then I saw it, and I was like, this is a lot. Like, if I got no warning about that, I think I would have been honestly pretty freaked out and assumed that I have some type of skin disease happening or something like that. Right. Yeah, so something to keep in mind, users, everyone. Elias, feel free to chime in too. I don't know if this is like stirring up any memories of your clientele.
Sure, I was like, holy shit! Like I'm a gooey human, and we are kind of just like slime machine. A lot of juices, and so like,
yeah,
to heal, and it's pretty awesome to have these new innovations in aftercare, the Saniderm, Dermalize Pro, all that kind of stuff. It really does kind of give like a little bit of a healing barrier, and let people kind of not have as big of a chance to fuck up their tattoo. And
yeah, that makes sense. No, that makes perfect sense. I guess let's talk about I think there's a huge discrepancy, which is also why Tattd exists. Hey, shout out. In the the like actually finding your artist and like that level of communication. So when you're researching artists, and it can be on any platform, but it's best on Tattd. But you know what I mean? When you're looking at Tattd, what should people really be looking for in the portfolio? Like, what are the indicators? Is it years that, like, in your opinion, obviously, I think everyone's gonna have a different answer, but I want to hear from y'all. Like, is it years experience? Is it that they have a work that you like? Is it that they've done the exact image? Like, if I want a butterfly or something, you know what I mean? Like, is it that they've done that exact image? Like, is there a checklist, or is there a prioritization on what people can look for in artists whenever they're trying to make that choice? That's a heavy hitter.
Yeah, well, I mean, they should be looking at I mean, it's hard to say quality of work, right? But they can really say that, right? Or see that, like if it's a good one or not, right? I mean, I can see that, but not the first timers, right? As we said. So I would say just look at the style you're looking for, and how the tattoo is done. I mean, like maybe look at the healed picture as well. I do sometimes. I post healed pictures as well, so
interesting.
They have an idea, how the pieces are healed, right? And how it looks like. So if there's like still, the same amount of details and the same amount of color and, so I'll go for it then.
Mm,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
good point.
that's the only thing I'm just like thinking about.
I didn't think about the healed thing. I never actually,
Yeah,
and I've seen so many artists post healed photos, and I've always been like, okay, like.
I like it. I mean,
like,
it's great to see it heal, right? I mean, fresh is just that, that's like one moment, right? It's like
sure.
that, then you go and it's already healing, right? So once it's healed, I think that's something you should be looking at, right?
Mm.
Because you'll wear it healed, not fresh, right? So I think that's I'll be looking at that. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. I love that. What do you think, Mr. Elias?
I definitely I like to I really need to know that the person who's putting ink in my skin forever and me have like a good energy going. And I think a consultation can be a great way to just kind of feel that out, because I never really know. But a big thing for me, the stuff that I do is just like for weird people, spiritual people, all kinds of psychedelic people. Um, and so kind of knowing that we do have this thing going, that I give them the very best work that I know I can do, like a really good thing to look for in the artist that you're committing to. Obviously it's not possible, and maybe some people don't care about that, but forever, I love it. I really know that they're putting some good stuff in there.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I feel that. I've gotten like almost to like this like 10th yard line getting a tattoo, and just the tattoo would have been dope, but the energy of the guy that was going to do it was super off, and I just wasn't feeling it, and I didn't think it was going to be a good relationship. I didn't think it was, you know what I mean? I don't think he's going to put a lot of effort into it. We're vibing, all of the above. I ended up walking out of the tattoo shop. I was like, I can't,
Just consider, and if they are a super dick, or if they're like sexually harassing you or saying some crazy shit, like I don't think that you
Yeah, totally. It just that kind of like aloof chauvinistic energy. And it's just like, I get that you own a shop and you probably ride a motorcycle. I get it. Like, I get it. You know what I mean? But, like, I don't, I don't care. That's not going to make my tattoo look any cooler. It's not going to make my experience look any better. Like, you need to, tone it down, I guess.
Who she really liked the guy who did the tattoo at first, but then some weird shit happened. He blew up on her for no real reason, and she's a really nice girl, so it was just kind of like, and then she ended up just being so like repulsed that it was on her skin that she got it covered up. And I'm like, if you can avoid that, and it's
Yeah. Yeah, that's a thing. That's the thing. I mean, my best tattoos have come from people that are, I mean, I do have a luxury from being close to the industry at this point. So, like at this point, the last 4 tattoos that I've gotten have been from people that I know well through Tattd. You know what I mean? And like, we've just been sitting around and talking about ideas, and I'm looking at their Instagram, and then they're whipping their gun out type of thing, which is great. Obviously, not everyone can have that great experience, but if there's any way to sort of foster that like connectivity, I would always recommend that. I think that's kind of understated in finding an artist at this point in time, but hopefully not for long, for sure. Tell me about any like pet peeves with like clients, like what they do where you're like, if you could not, that'd be nice. You know what I mean? Things that I would like to know, you know what I mean, if I'm doing annoying stuff. It's just things like 101 things that people should know, to do's and don'ts of getting a tattoo.
101, don't fucking move, please.
Great, love it.
You're getting a permanent piece on your body, just do your best not to move.
Yep.
Which has happened, of course, that's fine, but don't talk in a place where it's going to be moving your lungs. If you're on like the back or on the ribs or something, please don't talk. Like, I just feel like that would be common sense, but it's
great.
Help it, please be stinky when you come in. Just a little bit of deodorant, you know, make sure your things, those shoes are like,
Yep, you got a shower before. Makes sense.
you're with that person for 8 hours in a day or something. It's a lot to handle. Masks are good for that.
Yeah, right.
And then I guess my last one would just be, it's your first piece, but it's not your last piece, hopefully. So don't try to slam every single thing into there. See if you can get that one thing that you're really connected with right now. And you do like that, keep adding. But like, don't, it has to have this. It gets a little complicated. You can really focus on 1, 2, 3 things. Like, awesome.
That's great advice. I love that. Like not having to go, not just like, all right, here's my one tattoo. I'm going to make it my entire back. It's the whole thing, whole wingspan. It's like, you know, let's just take this in piecemeal, you know? I love that. I love that. That's fantastic advice. I am definitely a movie type of person, and I always have to be told to sit still. I get that. I get that. I'm working on it. Filip, tell me yours.
I would say don't overthink your idea, you know, like don't be too complicated, right? I mean, if I design something and you tell me like a million things I should change and then, you know, we spend like 2 hours on the design, that's too much. So 30 minutes is fine. 2 hours, that's too much, you know. I'm already done. I'm like done with tattooing, and I didn't even start, right? So don't do that. You know, usually have a consultation, so let's do it over the email. That's easier.
Yeah.
And then, you know, spending too much time with a design like on the place. Yeah.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. You know, I
much right and move. They're just so excited.
We're vaguely getting Filip. I think he's talking about people moving.
I know. I want to hear. Oh no.
I know. No.
Filip, come back.
It was so good for so long.
And well, what else?
Wait, Filip, you cut out for a sec. We heard you talking about.
Oh my gosh.
I know. Sorry.
Again?
Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah.
Can you hear me right now?
Yes.
Now we can hear you.
Okay. So what I was saying, not moving. That's what I was saying. Don't move. I'm focused, you know, like for 2 hours. So if you need to, whatever, use the bathroom, just tell me. We can have a breaks. That's fine. You know, I'm happy to do it as long as you're not like shaking or, you know, it's like too much. If it's too sensitive, I'm happy to split the sessions, you know, and I do several of them instead of like, you know, having one big long session with, you know, suffering at the place, right? So that's probably it. Well,
no, that makes sense. I love what you said about not spending like a million years on the tattoo design. And I think
right.
it's not because you're like not willing to sit there and make someone happy with their art. Like I think I've realized, and I wouldn't consider myself a type A person, but you know, I run a company. I'm not a type A person a little bit, to a small degree. You know what I mean? I'm very organized.
Mm-hmm.
No. So, you know, there's a part of me that eventually did let go of the concept of having perfection in my body art. You know what I mean? Like if you are someone that needs it to be exactly at a point and it needs to be like turned exactly 1 millimeter, and you know what I mean? You might not be someone for tattooing because it's like your body changes and moves and grows and things fade and, you know, different sides of the tattoo, you know what I mean, kind of wrap on the skin in a different way and whatever else it is, like your body is not going to be an exact perfect chiseled, you know, picture as you design it, and neither is your tattoo, you know. And I think kind of letting go of that has been really refreshing and has allowed me to kind of like I gotta like I was saying, you know, it was last week and weekend before, I got a tattoo like on the spot. We just thought of the idea. I loved it. And I was like, let's do it right now. And it was great. And I love it. And it turned out amazing. And I was just like, I would have never done that in the past if I hadn't. It was just kind of like let go of the concept of like, wait, but I haven't really thought about exactly how I want this, you know what I mean? Like rendered, you know what I mean? Let me draw it out like a million times first. And like, let me think about it. Let me sleep on it and like all that good stuff. So
that's a great point too. Cause it's like, sometimes when you really don't overthink it, you get a better result.
Yeah.
When you guys are really just like vibing and it feels right, like you can do a lot as opposed to feel like your artist will always feel your mistrust. Well, I don't know about all of them, but I do. And of course, to an extent, like they should kind of earn it. But if you're really fighting against the stream, it may actually kind of hinder the result that you think that you're fighting for.
I feel that. I totally feel that. I absolutely feel that. I have to show it to you now while Filip is gone.
Yeah,
I love it. It's literally one of my best ones.
Oh my God, that's so fun. Oh, it's so cute.
It's so good. I'm obsessed. I'm such a fan. But anyways, hopefully we get Filip back. He didn't get the pleasure of seeing my tattoo.
Exactly.
Just got my digital marketing associate who like runs this entire world of Tattd is on the line, and he was like, I love the tattoo. I don't think you've seen it yet.
Oh.
I love it.
Is this Scotty?
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks for being here.
I know, he's the best. He literally makes my life function. Scott, love you. Let me see if I can add Filip. Poor Filip. I think he's trying to accept and connect. See, poor guy. He's having so many technical. Actually, this is actually really good to know, because if he is on the convention having these technical difficulties, that would be problematic, I want to say, for the very least. Let's see if he's allowed. There he is.
Happen again, and then
yes, you're back. Okay, don't even worry. I have people edit this anyways.
different times, or I don't know what's happening today. Connection.
Don't worry.
Sorry for that.
Don't worry at all. No, we're just expanding on the fact that it is so much better if you're able to sort of let go and like let the art have a life of its own and not be such a crazy perfectionist or like kind of control freak about your tattoo or the design or whatever.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Sometimes it's the best result. You know, if you love it, you just go for it, right? And I mean, I'm the creative person in here, right? So I'll do my best to design it like for you, right? And to make the best that I can do,
Yeah, I mean, which isn't to say that like one time I was getting a tattoo and I asked someone to replace it one time, and he was just like, I'm a human, okay? And I was like, oh, I'm sad I already paid for this tattoo. Like, all right. Like, so like, obviously it like there is some like reciprocity there. And obviously y'all are like amazing humans, so you would never make anyone feel uncomfortable. But there's a degree that I do like, with my artist, if I have something placed, I'm like, I'm going to need that about 1.5 inches to you know what I mean? Like, can we replace this real quick? Like, I just like, work me a little bit on this, like, because so of course it shouldn't just be like, whatever you want. Like,
right.
And that's it. And so, I don't want to have new, like, let's say someone that's very new to tattooing go in and just be like, well, whatever the artist says kind of has to go, and I should let go fully. And just, that's what's going to be on my body. That's not it. Being a crazy person about it isn't it, but also like not, feeling like you're able to have a conversation with your artist is also not it. And like every time that I do that, I always, start really apologetically. I remember the last time, whenever I got this like rose piece on my neck, I was like, I have to apologize in advance. Like I'm the worst about placement. I'm really annoying about it. And he was just like, hey, well, we'll clean you off. It's, sure. Like, it'll be fine. We'll figure it out. Like, it's my job. All right. Like, it'll be fine. And it was great. You know what I mean? It was a great experience. And, it turned out like a little bit more different and faded than I wanted, honestly. It's actually a different type of tattoo ink. It's actually my friend's starting a company where he's invented a type of tattoo ink that fades in 1 year. So that's why I kind of,
wow.
yeah, shout out Ephemeral Tattoo. Also, a lot of shout outs this time. But yeah, so it didn't really like turn out exactly how I wanted, but I was just like, hey, still really like it. Looks really cool. Great. Thanks so much. Like what, you know what I mean? So there's just like, we all have to kind of come to terms. I think something that is a little bit of a barrier for some people, not all people, but for some people, is that still tattoo artist and tattoo artistry, it can feel a little bit intimidating, maybe, right? And obviously there's the more intimidating shops with, you know, dudes and the big beards and all that, you know, the leather, you know, there's just like very intense, like, but in general, if you like, you know, if you don't know what you're doing in a tattoo studio, you can walk in and just like feel very small. And I have had that experience personally. Like, I remember early on, I wanted to get this tattoo and I kind of knew what I wanted. And so I had heard of a great studio in Brooklyn, and I like went in and I was just like, hey, like, I want this tattoo. I'm here. You know what I mean? I'm here. So there's that. Like, and they like looked at me like, you imbecile, like, get out. She was like, you have to look up our artist first and you contact our artist. You don't just walk in here. So here's our card, get out. Like but just like, it was really rude. And I absolutely never went back there. And I was so embarrassed. And like, I went right home. So it's like, it can be scary. So if there's any advice that you have to people to not feel intimidated or, you know, feel comfortable walking into a tattoo studio, I would love to hear that, you know, and thinking about my past poor little self, feeling super intimidated walking in tattoo studios. Like, what can you tell people? Anyone? Nothing. Be still.
Sorry. No, yeah, I was waiting for.
Like, I don't know. Sometimes it's just like you gotta go in there and just like see. They'll say like appointment only or we're a walk-in shop. To be pretty clear about that. Their appointment figured out, and then if they're a walk-in shop, just like walk in at a time that works for you. Maybe give a little call in advance. Like, do you guys have someone who's taking walk-ins right? Yeah, you save yourself some of the trauma. It shouldn't be like scary. We're not scary people. Sometimes the shell of a human on much caffeine and too many days, but spirited people. And you can just go in there and do your best to try. And you might have some really good experience from that.
Yeah.
I'll try.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, either you're looking for a, you know, specific artist or you just walk in, right, to the tattoo shop. So I don't think it should be scary to walk in. I mean, the person sitting there, that's her job or his job, right? So they should like help you with you know, if you lost somehow and you didn't know what to do, right? So we always do have like a counter person sitting there, and I'm not in the COVID time, but before it was like that, right? So if you walk in, just speak with her, and she'll tell you everything you need to know, like if you have any walk-in availability today, or if you should, you know, look at the artist portfolios and pick the right one.
Yeah. That makes it sound so simple. No, I hear that. You know, I do think part of what's happening right now is that it's just being a bit demystified. You know what I mean? Like, tattoo artistry is becoming a bit more, first of all, mainstream and accepted, but also, you know, isn't necessarily viewed as this like crazy rock and roll counterculture. You know what I mean? Like, so hardcore. Like, you know, that's not. You know, I think that's probably you know, mentality that is, you know, quickly dying and likely for the better. You know, I have had the experience of walking into a tattoo shop and being like pretty intimidated. You know, when you don't know anything, you're in a brand new environment. It's like when you walk into your first day on a job somewhere, you know what I mean? You have some expectation to know something about something that you don't know anything about, in fact, you know, and it's just like, it's kind of interesting. But you know, I think that learning curve is really easy to get over. And everyone else that I've met, save like one or two people, are actually like really wonderful and welcoming and kind and like not scary at all. So hopefully things are changing for the better for sure. Yeah, that was just that one time that there was just like that bitchy attendant. But anyway, I was so young too. I was like, it was sad. Now it's funny. Like when with my friend to get his tattoo, I think it was a couple days ago or something like that. I like walked in like I own it. You know what I mean? I'm like sitting in a chair. I'm like, what's up?
Right.
It's so comfortable. I've been in them so often now, just from Tattd and all my tattoo artist friends, that it's just like, which is funny. But anyways, what is the last thing that you might leave people with? Like, what are your last thoughts on, a shout out PSA to anyone that doesn't have a tattoo, but that wants one? What would you want to tell them? What message you want to leave us with?
Fucking do it. Hell yeah. Beforehand, just like know what you're getting into, and it's gonna make your life infinitely less complex. You to have kind of their general vibe on you forever, and that's something that you take with you on your journeys. Tattooing is not some like new thing; it's a thousands of year old art form. Mm-hmm. And even though the kind of scary biker gang type stuff is part of our history, that's not the only thing that it comes from. And seeing the shift for artistry, acceptance, all skin colors, all sexual orientations, it's like a really beautiful thing. And yeah, do it.
I love that. Especially that it's universal, all people. That's cool. What would you say, Filip?
I would say find the right artist and trust him or her. And don't be afraid to speak to them, right? But yeah, if you feel like getting a tattoo, you should just go for it and schedule an appointment and just do it, because otherwise if you're waiting too long, you end up like not doing that and you're just overthinking. Yeah. So that's what I think. Do your research before. I mean, that's important. Just definitely. Walking to the random shop and being like, I want to get a tattoo, right? We do have an Instagram, just like plenty of resources you can use. So use them and set up an appointment.
Yeah, guys, y'all forgot the most important part, which is that you should all do this through Tattd, obviously.
That's important. So use Tattd.
That's my closing thought for anyone trying to get a new tattoo.
I agree.
I had to. No, absolutely. I encourage it so much. I mean, I think it's such like a special, unique art form that is unlike any other way of self-expression or any other art form. It is so unique and stand out, to anything else that you could possibly do. So as an artist or as, a tattooee, I think that's very cool. And that's kind of why I fell in love with it. I find that so interesting, and that exploration of what that means, for whomever is really interested in it, whether you're tattooing or getting tattooed, whatever that does for you is really interesting. So, if you do have that interest, you probably have that same gene, as me and Filip and Mr. Elias here. So we all say go for it. Thank you so much, you guys. It has been such a pleasure meeting you all face to face, and we'll do so much more of these. And I can't wait to see you all in person, I'm sure soon enough. And we really, really appreciate all of your thoughts and insights, and for being your own beautiful selves. So thank you so much, and have an amazing rest of your night, you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.